My name is Beth Nybeck. I am a sculptor and public artist, and I have a studio in Kansas City, Missouri. I'm born and raised in Iowa. And how I started as an artist. A lot of people ask me, did your parents see it? Was it really evident from a young age? Were you always building things and coloring? And I said, no. My parents will tell you, yeah, this was totally unexpected. We didn't see it coming, but I was always a very creative thinker. I was always in my imagination and thinking of stories and characters, and just had this just wild imagination. I grew up kind of rural Iowa, and so my whole childhood was kind of playing outside and running amok and getting into trouble and creating all of these different scenarios in the woods of just wild play. And so I think I've always just had this wild imagination that's just never gone away. I've kept that with me. My first love was photography. I started in high school, and this was kind of the first. Photography is strange because you think that you see the world how everybody sees the world. You look through these lenses, that is your eyes, and this is how you see the world, and this is how you know things. And it isn't until someone else shows you how they see the world, literally. And in a photograph, you can do that. You can show someone an image and say, this is what I saw. And you're like, oh my goodness, I never would have noticed that. I never would have seen something like that. And so that was kind of the first glimpse into, oh my goodness. Looking at the photos I took compared to my classmates, I said, goodness gracious, I am seeing something. I'm seeing the world differently than other people are seeing the world. And that was the first kind of affirmation I ever had of, I'm looking at things differently. And I started off in college. I went to the University of Northern Iowa and studied art. And one of the really cool things about studying at a collegiate level is they have you experiment with things. They get your hands dirty with all sorts of materials that you never would have even thought to explore or experiment with. And I took a sculpture class, and they just, I never thought I would be a sculptor or be interested in working with my hands in that sort of capacity. And they had you work through all these different materials, from stone carving to woodworking to working with paper to working with fabric. And the very last kind of unit was on metal and on welding. And I really fell in love with metal. Metal is this material that is really strong, and it's durable, it's resilient. But the surprising thing I found about metal was it's also very flexible, and most importantly, it's really forgiving. And so I'm a human who needs to work with a material and also surround myself with people who are forgiving. I'm going to make mistakes, and I'm going to change my mind, and I need to have people that are around me be flexible, and I need the material that I'm working with really lend itself to how my brain works and how I create as a creator. And so I really fell in love with metal. In ceramics, if we worked all of this time and you put something in the kiln and you were just hoping and praying it turned out well, and if it didn't, it's like, okay, back to square one. And with woodworking, you make a wrong cut and you're done. You go back to the beginning. And so with metal, there's been so many projects where I've made a mistake, and I've been able to fix it and to change the work. And so there's pieces that one will look at, and you will never know that this one area was a gaping hole, and now it looks really, really beautiful. And so I think that also speaks to a really redemptive quality in life of this idea of I'm working with this material that I'm able to transform and also heal, so to speak, areas that were once mistakes into now they look beautiful and perfect. And so there's a kind of romantic side to the work of metal as well.